Hey, G, can you hear me all right?
I got you. Can you hear me?
Can you hear her?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I told Jen. Was promoted. Yeah, she's so quiet.
Didn't even get a chance. No. No, you're good, G?
1, 2, 3.
Okay, thank you. Mike Davey, you can hear us?
Yes.
Thank you.
You all set? You guys all good? Good? I'd like to call this meeting to order at 6:30. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Prior to this session, we had an executive session to discuss real estate, legal, and personnel matters. We have advertised this meeting in the Delaware County Times in accordance with the requirements. We have a recording device up front for the purposes of taking minutes, and we're also streaming and recording on YouTube as well. On to the approval of minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes for the reorganizational meeting on January 5th, 2026.
I will second. Motion made by Supervisor Hannessian and seconded by myself. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the regular meeting on January 13th, 2026.
I will second. Motion made by Supervisor Hannessian and seconded by myself. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to the treasurer's report, Mr. Bars.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm getting the hang of this. Hit the button.
There you go.
Hopefully we've had an opportunity to take a look at my report. Just to note a couple different things. The township cash balance is up $410,169.81 as of January 31st, 26, over where we were 1 year ago. Currently, we're in all township accounts, our cash balances equal $5,115,465.91 compared to where we were a year ago, $4,705,296.10, which was a good sign from a cash flow perspective. It's just, we've only had 1 month of activity, so it's really tough to compare to anything, but we did okay. In our general fund, I mean, we were anticipating an over $200,000 loss. We ended up with about a $10,000 loss. So it was a positive swing to us of a little over $200,000. In section 3, I just wanted to note there is a slight correction under revenue where I list the variances that are over $5,000, where it says under revenue, small I, or where it says real estate taxes were up $33,240.29 over budget. That's actually real estate transfer taxes.
Okay.
Really everything else is moving along smoothly. Trash fund. We held our own, which is what we anticipate, which is what we budget for. We anticipated a loss of $81,000. We ended up with a loss of $97,000. So we're up $15,000 over where we thought we'd be from a budgetary standpoint. So that's a good thing. And this is the fund we always keep our eye on because we don't start getting money until March. So January, February, very lean. And just a note, we put in a P&L comparison to budget for the EMS fund. We missed that in the narrative, but we'll start putting that in February.
Okay.
In the narrative part of the treasurer's report. So with that, I conclude my report, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Bars. Any
You're
questions for Mr. Bars from the board? Okay, with that, I make a motion to accept the treasurer report, pay all bills and release all relevant escrows.
Second.
Motion made and seconded by Supervisor Derhinessian. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to reports. We have a couple items here. The first one, I'd like to make a motion to update the township's authorized signers with Pliget Client Services Group.
Second.
Motion made and seconded by Supervisor Derhinessian. So this is just making sure that the township's authorized signers are the current board of supervisors. Is there any discussion from the board on this? From the public? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Secondly, and within the packet, there's several different resolutions, resolutions 2026 through 08 through -20 that are all in the same vein of authorizing Fulton Bank as a depository, but for our different accounts. So with that, I make a motion to adopt resolutions 2026-08 through 2026-20, authorizing Fulton Bank as a depository for township funds and approving updated authorized signatories.
Second.
Motion made and seconded by Supervisor Ming. Is there any discussion from the board on this or from the public? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Lastly, is resolution 2026-21. Mr. Bars, it might make sense for you to go first and just give a little backstory about why we would need to do a true up.
Sure. Rather than make a budget resolution every time that we're over budget on an expense item, what we do at the end of the year as of 12/31/25 is we make one budgetary resolution, and we're pulling monies out of our over budgeted revenues and our surplus in order to in effect true up our budget. So we're taking our prior budget and bringing them up to actual for expenditures that are in effect over budget. So we're doing it with one shot rather than every month repetitively doing that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
With that, I make a motion to adopt resolution 2026-21, ratifying certain budgetary transfers to and from reserves in the calendar year 2025.
Second.
Motion made and seconded by Supervisor Derhinessian. Is there discussion from the board on this? From the public on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On to taxes. Excuse me. During the month of January, there were 17 invoices collected for 2026 taxes. The total tax collected for January is $14,651.24 and was remitted to the township in one installment on January 28th, 2026. As of January 31st, I'm sorry, am I looking at an older report? This might be looking back on the previous year's tax collection. So I don't have a total count, Mr. Plasha, unless I might be interpreting wrong.
I think maybe it's just a typo.
Yeah, it might just be a typo. But I mean, it looks like you're tracking at 98.9% of tax bills. Can't possibly be tax bills collected this year, but in the prior year. So, Mr. Plasha, maybe I'm misinterpreting.
Yeah. I'm sorry, when I report out, when I talk about this year, I'm talking about 2025. Because 2026 hasn't started yet until February 1st. But on that report, it'll show that I think we're down a little bit on the number of homes that were submitted to tax claim. It went down a few. So it's within the reasonable amount that we have every year for that. You want me to keep going?
No, that's perfect. Yeah.
So that's done. This information was submitted to tax claim for township and school. School was right at what it was last year for the prior year for the amount submitted tax claim. So all that's done. I've submitted that to tax claim. I've also submitted past due trash to the township and to Mr. Madron for that low collection lien purposes for trash, because that doesn't go to tax claim. 2026 bills are out, so that's now the new current year. I'm going to be leaving right after this. I have about 80 payments to process tonight. They're coming in fast and furious. There was a little chatter about the discount. If you look at the bill, the discount amount is not 98% of the face amount because trash is not offered at discount. So that's why the math doesn't work, but all the taxes are at 98%. If trash were offered at discount, you just have to charge more because you have a set amount of expenses. You have to collect a set amount of revenue. And if you discount it, you got to make that up. So 480 becomes 490. You don't really get a discount. You mark it up to mark down. So that's why it's not offered. So all that's said and done. And I only have received one, maybe two phone calls or emails about that. So I don't think it's a big deal. And some people corrected it on the post that was out there that started some of that. So that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Plasha. Any other questions for Mr. Plasha?
All right. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
On to public safety.
Chief McCarthy, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Supervisors. Hello, everyone. January 2026, the monthly report is a total of 784 calls. This broken down into 267 911 calls and 517 officer-generated calls. Medical emergencies were 63, assist other departments 7. We had 18 alarms. There were 47 traffic stops, resulting in 31 citations, 12 domestic-related calls. There were 12 crashes, 10 theft investigations, 2 fraud investigations, and 10 other criminal investigations. There were 466 building and development checks that were conducted. There were 11 suspicious vehicles and persons, and 1 municipal ordinance violation and 94 miscellaneous calls. Obviously, since tax season is upon us, please protect yourself from IRS fraud in 2026 by securing your personal data using strong, unique passwords and watching for scams. The Internal Revenue Service never initiates contact by email, text, or social media to request any personal information, nor does it demand any type of payment in gift cards or threaten arrest of any kind. Early tax filing and request an identity protection PIN number from the IRS to prevent from fraudulent filings. Obviously, as we tell you all the time, please be situationally aware of your surroundings. If you see something that looks wrong, looks suspicious, please dial 911 and have an officer respond and we will check it out.
Thank you very much for including the information about 911 calls versus officer generated calls. Can you speak to that a little bit to explain to everyone what the difference is?
Sure. What we did, I went through the majority of the calls that we receive and that are actually generated that I report. Basically, the 267 calls are actually where someone in the community or possibly outside the community, but they are calling an emergency dispatch for some type of police service, whether it be, they lock their keys in their car, an alarm going off at your house, and the alarm company calls the emergency operations center, they actually dial 911. So that's why versus the calls that are officer generated. Now, there are some types of calls that it's very hard without going in and reading each individual report. As an example, a disabled vehicle. It is possible that someone dialed 911 and said, hey, there's a car broken down in the middle of the road at any given intersection. But it's also possible that the officer came upon that while he or she is on patrol. So there are some. So when I say that there were 267 911 calls, that's going to be, if you will, give or take one or two or three. But that's probably the most accurate number that we can come up with. The other is very easy. They're just officer generated calls where the officer on patrol makes a traffic stop or stops a suspicious person or conducts a building check, drives around your neighborhood, checks all the streets, et cetera. So.
Thank you.
Chief, is the new vehicle, is that up and running now, ready to go?
It is not. I checked with the upfitter today. Most of the parts have come in and he has started on it. He has a light bar on already. And of course, the entire interior, if you will, all the seats are out and he's getting ready to start actually working into it. I suspect that it will probably be with us in 2 or 3 weeks. And then once that's done, obviously we'll get the other car cleaned up and prepared and we'll get it on municipal bid. I assume is what we're going to. We've been fairly lucky with municipal bid, so I assume that's where we're headed with this car to sell it.
Absolutely. And is there also still one additional, I'm not going to say extra vehicle, but there's an eighth vehicle?
Yes, as we had discussed
Yeah.
before, we've traditionally had 8. Presently, we have 9 because we do have the new car that is not yet in service. And once that car becomes available, then we are going to get rid of the other one.
Okay.
I know we had some discussion on another vehicle. I will circle around and follow up with you on that and see what the pleasure of the board is with that vehicle.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. On to Bethel Township Hose Company number 1. Deputy Chief Small, look like you're in the queue?
Yes, sir. Good evening, residents. Good evening, board. As of January, we had 16 calls in Bethel Township, 5 fire alarms, 1 vehicle fire, 2 motor vehicle accidents, 7 EMS assist, and 1 gas leak. With mutual aid assist, we had 5 with Upper Chi, 2 with Concordville, 5 with Claymont, and 6 with Tallyville. And we conducted 2 training seminars. We tried to stay indoors out of this nasty weather, also protect the firefighters as well as the equipment. We don't want things freezing up and causing issues. And I see everybody made it through the Armageddon of 26 here already. So we've kept the township pretty quiet as far as emergency responses goes. We had quite a few of the ones that were out of town were chimney fires. So I'd like to specify again, like I did earlier in the year, make sure your chimneys are clean, the flues, your fireboxes, also as well as your heaters and stuff for the CO problems. Make sure they're all serviced and everything for safety reasons. So, and also with the ice, everybody be aware of the ice. It's going to be here, unfortunately, probably for another 2 weeks. So other than that, just thank you for coming out.
Thank you. Thank you, Brett. On to EMS.
There were 48 EMS calls for service this month. 25 of them were ALS calls and 11 of them were BLS calls. The emergency management report, no events of major injury or property damage. There's been some ongoing meetings with our solicitor, engineer, our emergency management coordinator, and folks at the tank farm, as well as he's attended a recent meeting, a public meeting on the tank farm. That's the emergency management report. On to the highway report for January. Crews were out clearing and treating roads during the snow events. 9 crew were out, 9 pieces of equipment were out working to keep up with the snow. They used approximately 125 tons of salt. And because the weather got so cold, salt does not work under 20 degrees. So now that we're getting a little bit warmer and getting some sun, hopefully we're going to get some melting. Crews assisted with traffic control for a contractor during storm drain replacement on Zebley Road. They filled several potholes, cleaned up stones at Community Park, replaced several hydraulic motors on the salt spreaders, serviced several police cars and did some repairs, checked and adjusted trucks for the next snow event. And I'll go on to the buildings and grounds report, and then we'll go back to the motions. So buildings and grounds report, crews finished painting the police department, restacked salt for the new order to be staged in the shed, took down Christmas lights around the Myers building and administration office, removed the dead tree in Jack King Park, and cleaned up other fallen branches, and then had the heating unit repaired in the EMS crew quarters. Because of the snow and one of our backup snowplow drivers was no longer able to help us out, we needed to bring on another backup snowplow operator. So with that, I'd like to make a motion to ratify the appointment of Michael Natron as an alternate snowplow operator at a rate of $25 per hour.
Second.
Motion made by Supervisor Iacono and seconded by Supervisor Dernessen. Discussion from the board? From the public? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
And I think we talked about this a little bit during budgeting. We have an old loader, which we actually put on municipal and have secured a buyer for. And as part of the budget for 2026, we had in there to purchase a new loader. So with that, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the acquisition of a New Holland PowerStar 4-wheel drive tractor and root rake grapple for the highway department through the CoStarz Cooperative Purchasing Program at a cost not to exceed $80,082. And I will say, we're not trading in the old loader. We were able to get an additional $8,000 by putting it on municipal over what the dealer was going to give us for the trade-in.
I will second that. So motion made by Supervisor Iacono and seconded by myself. Discussion from the board on this? From the public? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Motion carries. Does that conclude your report, Supervisor Iacono?
Yes, it does.
Perfect. I do want to circle back, Mr. Manager, if it's possible. I know you might be able to give us a little bit of a backstory on the recent events
MIPC.
at Monroe. Yes.
So MIPC, I don't think we talked about this in a meeting yet at all, right? So MIPC, back in August, noticed a foul odor in a puddle, and it took them several months to trace it back to a quarter-inch hole, Matt, do I remember that right? Quarter-inch hole in one of their tanks, the lone tank that's located in Bethel, incidentally. And it released several thousand gallons of unleaded fuel. Since then, DEP has issued an order almost immediately when they were made aware of the release, and MIPC has applied for Act 2 remediation to remediate the site. We've entered a comment letter asking for the highest standard of remediation. MIPC requested industrial remediation, and since it's really surrounded by residential properties, we felt they should have to remediate to a residential standard, along with some reimbursement of costs, the appointment of a geologist to help the township through that process.
some funds to protect some of the neighboring residents should they have any issues with their wells and things of that nature. There was a public meeting last Wednesday, attended by about 150 people. We don't know how many of those people necessarily Bethel versus Aston versus Upper Chi versus people from other areas who might have just been interested in the issue. Comments at that meeting were about the effects on vegetation, the effects on the well water and things of that nature. So we're going to probably modify our comment letter a little bit to address some of the things that came up in that meeting. DEP has been very engaged with both Ray and I in the process, and it seems to be moving forward at an appropriate pace.
Thank you, Mr. Madron. So yeah, there's pretty regular dialogue between Mr. Madron, Mr. Stiles, who's our emergency management coordinator, Mr. Hootman, the engineer, and the rest of the board, as well as the township office.
I guess the other thing I should have mentioned is that as part of the order, MIPC was required to post a website. I think there's a link to that website on our webpage. So anybody who's curious about the submissions and things like that can go to the township webpage and pick up that link and see everything that's going on with the cleanup.
Thank you. Moving on to board reports. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see.
Oh, really? Thank you. That helps us with the minutes. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Right. Okay. I have a meeting about the tank farm leak. I was at a meeting 2 weeks ago from the Chelsea farm tank farm leak, and it was 1 million gallons of gasoline.
Okay, I mean, I hadn't heard a report that high, but if you say that that's what they said, that's what they said.
And several, I don't know how many, at least 30 people there already had water delivered. And
Is this the meeting that occurred at the firehouse?
yeah.
Okay, yeah. So they have offered fresh water to the residents on wells adjacent. They've offered hookup to Chester Water Authority as well, if anybody desires that, although I don't think the last time I heard that anyone had taken advantage of that at that point.
Well, there was, they're having wells dug on each
And-
property, 2 wells.
Test wells.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was a meeting that was sponsored by, I think, a law firm out of Montgomery County, if I remember correctly.
Well, yeah, I understand that, but the truth is, it is 1 million gallons, and it does have an effect on our environment
For sure.
within miles, not just, a couple of feet. So, and they're gonna have a meeting with the tank farm, you're saying, it says here?
There was a meeting, a public meeting with the tank farm folks held at local 654 last week, and there will be subsequent meetings, but I don't think they're scheduled as of yet.
Okay. No, I didn't see anything on that, so I don't know. I didn't see anything about a meeting. So,
I mean, that was scheduled as of the time that Mr. Pacini was conducting the meeting at the firehouse, but if he didn't mention it, he didn't mention it, I don't know. Do we have that on the website? The public, yeah, it was on our website as well. So if you go to our website, we have that link to the MIPC website, and then you can get all the information from that.
We have your name and address, please. Thank you. Name and address. Of mine? Yes.
Okay. Is there any other comments that I missed? In that case, we'll move on to board reports.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Parks and Rec Board Report from the January 14th meeting. The board discussed ongoing leadership and membership vacancies, including 3 open board seats and officer roles. There was also discussion about potentially restructuring Parks and Recreation into a volunteer committee rather than a formal board, and the need for additional administrative support similar to a Parks and Rec director or events coordinator role. In old business, the board talked about the Jack King Park boardwalk replacement, which is still awaiting wetlands waiver from DEP. They talked about the egg hunt, which is coming up, and approved the release of $2,000, which is budgeted for the event. Events planning went off as planned. They talked about who would take the lead for each one of the events. The egg hunt, which is April 4th, the movie night, which is May 29th, fireworks, July 3rd, corn boil, August 23rd, semi-centennial celebration in early October, the Santa event on December 5th, and had some discussions about potentially some newer programs, but that keeping in mind our budget and insurance and liability concerns. Next regular meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, February 11th, tomorrow at 7 p.m. That concludes the Parks and Rec report.
Thank you. Would you like to make the motion?
Oh, yes, sorry. I'd like to make a motion to approve the release of funds for the Parks and Recreation egg hunt in an amount not to exceed $2,000.
Second.
Motion made by Supervisor Derhinessian and seconded by Supervisor Ming. Discussion from the board? Discussion from the public? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Supervisor Dave, you on the zoning hearing?
Thank you. The zoning hearing board had two items on the agenda in January. The first, 2026-06, a variance request for a side yard shed at 3203 Hamilton Lane was denied. The second item, 2026-02, was a request for a 336 square foot accessory structure, 18-foot high, and a 55-inch open aluminum fence for an in-ground pool at 3163 Ridgeview Court. That request was granted with conditions. Board had a brief reorganization meeting, and Gary Lanahan was reelected as chairman, and Doug Moser was elected as vice chairman. This time, there are no new applications before the zoning hearing board. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. On to the Planning Commission, Supervisor Iacono.
There was only one item for discussion at the planning commission meeting for 1534 Namans Creek Road, a 3-lot subdivision. Plan is to combine 2 existing tracts into 1 larger tract and then subdivide the composite parcel into 3 lots. The applicant's engineer updated progress on the township engineer's review letter of December 23rd, 2025. That concludes the planning commission report.
Thank you. On to the Sewer Authority, Supervisor Davey.
Sewer Authority conducted its regular meeting on February 5th, 2026. The following matters were reported on. Foxfield dedication work has been completed for Phase 6. Dedication documents are in the process of being prepared. Creekside Run, the developer is moving forward with the dedication of the sanitary sewer improvements and rights-of-way. In Belmont 3, the developer has been provided with the developer and security agreements, and they remain under review. The developer's representative and counsel made a presentation concerning tapping fees. On behalf of the board, the authority's solicitor advised the developer and his counsel that the board would take comments under advisement and will respond with a decision in short order. The authority also received a grant to install new or replacement generators for them at Green Glen, Northbrook, Scotts Glen, and Lumen Circle. The purchase has been approved by the authority, and they're working on installation plans and specifications. And that concludes the Sewer Authority report.
Thank you. On to education, Supervisor Ming.
Okay, I have 2 items related to school board to review. The first is that every year Bethel Township sponsors a $1,000 scholarship to recognize a graduating senior for their hard work, determination, and service, and the service they've contributed to the school and community. The scholarship committee selects a student, and the awardee is announced at the senior award ceremony. The second update is that this year we're offering 2 leadership opportunities for Garnet Valley High School juniors, the junior supervisor position and the Parks and Recreation ambassador position. Both roles give students meaningful ways to learn how local government works, build leadership skills, and contribute to community service. The junior supervisor attends the Board of Supervisors meetings, reviews materials ahead of time, provides school updates, participates in discussions, and completes a substantial project for the township. The Parks and Recreation ambassador helps plan township events, supports logistics, offers a youth perspective on recreation programs, and completes a small project related to parks or youth engagement. So students must be Bethel residents in good academic standing and submit an activities list, a recommendation letter, and a short essay. A selection committee that includes township liaisons, school staff, and guidance counselors reviews applications and may hold brief interviews. To move on to the library report, The library reached its annual appeal goal for December, allowing it to continue to offer programs and services free or at low cost to the community. However, they still need a lot of report. They keep having to put Band-Aids on their roof, which really needs a new roof. In January, over 8,000 items were circulated and 89 new library card applications were processed, 19% of which were from Bethel. And just some programming highlights. They have a new D&D Tweens and Teens Club on Mondays. They have some special Saturday family story times this month, and they continue to offer a whole range of adult and children's programming. And that concludes my reports.
Thank you.
I just have a quick question. Historically, on the school board report with the scholarships, historically, we've awarded two $500 scholarships every year. I just want to make sure that that was still the plan as opposed to one $1,000 scholarship. So if I'm wrong historically, somebody correct me.
No, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. On to the manager's report, Dr. Addison.
Good evening, everybody. Over the past several weeks, township staff have continued to address daily operations while responding to the recent snowstorm that impacted our area. The highway department worked extended hours to plow and treat roads, focusing first on the main roads and then residential streets. Their efforts helped keep roads passable, safe during challenging conditions, and we thank them for their dedication and their hard work, a lot of late hours. We'd like to remind residents that snow removal is significantly more difficult when vehicles, basketball courts, basketball nets, trash cans, and other items are left in the street. Makes it very difficult for the plow trucks to get through. Right, Lance? Keeping the roadway clear allows the plow trucks to safely operate. Residents are also reminded to shovel around their mailboxes following snow events, as mail delivery may be delayed, if not suspended or blocked, because they do not have access to the mailbox. In addition to the storm response, the township is still in the process of fully converting to a new phone system. It's going absolutely wonderful. The transition has been going significantly better as time plays out and everyone becomes more comfortable. Wow. I get this at my age 60, start shaking my arms. Wow. We appreciate the patience of residents during this upgrade and look forward to providing improved service on the end. Service and conversion is complete. Yeah, that concludes my report.
Thanks. Dr. Addison, I think we did this new phone system, it's an upgraded enhanced service and it's also at a lower cost as well.
That is correct, yes. And it provides us with a report at the end of the month when we look it up through this analytics. And this past 30 days was, I think, a little over 1,100 calls into the township with a 98% success rate, which is fabulous.
Yeah.
So it's working good. Thank you.
Yeah, no, great job to you and the office team for sure. Thank you. We don't have any old business on the agenda. Moving on to new business. Oh, please.
Mr. Chairman, just a point of clarification on an MIPC leak. The latest data I received was it was 9,000 barrels, which equates to 360,000 gallons. So still very substantial, but not a million. They're estimating about 360,000 gallons.
And I guess just to close the gap on that, there's that leak is fixed at this point, or at least it's no longer leaking. That number is not going to go up.
No, no, that tank is now empty.
Great.
And
Thank
has
you.
been for some time.
Thank you. Okay, on to new business. The first item we have is for us to submit an application to allow for the Delaware County contribution to our liquid fuels. So this is, us filling out the process, filling out the application to collect some funds. And with that, I make a motion to adopt Resolution 2026-22, authorizing an application to the Delaware County Council for an allocation of county liquid fuels tax funds in 2026 for the municipal roadway street improvement program.
Second.
Motion made and seconded by Supervisor Derhinessian. Discussion from the board on this? Discussion from the public? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The amount, by the way, and I'm just because I happen to have it up, that's $2,005 if folks were interested in what that contribution looks like. Sorry, please continue.
Yeah, it's okay. I'd like to make a motion to enter into an agreement with Millennium Strategies for flex granting consulting services for the year 2026 in an amount not to exceed $5,000, subject to solicitor approval.
And I will second this. So
And I
motion-
can speak to that a little bit too,
Sure.
if people wanted to. We did this last year with Millennium Strategies too. It is, this service offers us grant research, grant opportunity notifications, access to their portal where we can look through these grants that have been suggested to us. They'll consult with us on grants, and if there is a grant that we would like help with, we can reach out and they will help us they'll write the grant with us, and that is an additional fee for that service though. So that's it.
Great. Is there any discussion from the board on this? Or from the public? Please.
Ed Deisher, 1108 Old Post Circle. Just curious, with using this service last year, how did that affect our success in getting grants?
Yeah, so and Supervisor, you may know the specifics. So some of the grants that they applied for, we haven't heard results yet. Some of them we did hear back and we were unsuccessful. We were unsuccessful, I think, on 2 grants that we had submitted years prior without them, and we had submitted with their assistance. And I think Supervisor Iacono, in the debrief, I think some of the resolutions were the same in terms of the feedback that we got.
Yeah, I think there's one that they did for us that we did not.
Just one? Okay.
We did not win. And then there's, I believe, 3 that we submitted at the end of the year that we have not heard back from, and we won't hear until probably the end of next year.
So we had them, I wouldn't necessarily say as on retainer, but as a tool that we could use. But Supervisor Iacono, she still submitted some applications for grants on her own, or with support from the township office. So if it's one of the ones where you're answering questions and it's kind of a light lift, it's something that we can do internally. But if it's a bigger one where there's a planning exercise, that's kind of where we thought that we would shine. So
Also, the value add is really them like having a consolidated place to go and look instead of not knowing where to find these grants, like having their portal and having things that actually make sense for us to apply for.
Yeah, there were probably over a dozen grants just solely that I sent to the fire department and the police department last year. There's a variety of grants. It's for anything you can think of under the sun for the township, and our emergency services. So the portal, the initial agreement, I think is definitely worth it, because it does give us a wide access to grant opportunities that we may not know about.
And sometimes the grant windows are sometimes 30 or 60 days. So if it happens to be a cycle where we're encumbered with something else, it's really difficult to react to that. And it's nice to have somebody that we could potentially tap. Any other questions?
No, thank you.
Sure. You got it. Any other questions from the public on this? All is in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I'd like to make a motion to enter into a 1-year service agreement with Advanced Electrical Services Group for Generac Mobile Link in an amount not to exceed $100, and that is for monitoring our generator.
Second.
Motion made by Supervisor Ming and seconded by Supervisor Derehnassian. Discussion from the board on this? From the public? All is in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Is there any announcements? I don't see any on the agenda specifically. We'll now offer up, is there any other additional public comment? Please.
Ed Deisher, 1108 Old Post Circle. Just wanted to circle back to the budget from last year for this year that was approved. Still early in the year. I think there's, still a lot of money to go out the door, but I moved here in 1993. It's not a contest. Doesn't make me better than anybody else, but I do have a little more history here. And, I was used to Bethel Township. Pretty much, I would say at least 90% of those years that I've been here, having balanced budgets and balanced spending and, even producing surpluses. I think in at least probably 18 of those 33 years, which got us to the point where we are now. I think last year we started with a $3.2 million surplus. I guess, do we call that reserves?
Yeah.
Surplus. I'm not sure how much we started off this year with yet, but to me, spending, just going back to the 3.2 number, if we plan to spend 1.2 of our spending out of the reserves, we're eating up, more than a third of the reserves that we have on hand. And I just think in the world we live in right now and all the things that are going on and unforeseen things that could pop up, I just think it's incumbent on the board to, look at all the money that's going out and kind of hold off any unnecessary expenses for 2026 until we see how things are really going to shake out. We got a state that can't get their act together. They finally got a budget together, and that's pulling a boatload of money out of the state reserves. We got a county that's raised taxes 50% in less than 3 years. And that 50% will include what's going out this year. But, it'd be great if you guys were the bastion of reason in this world that we live in and kind of put the foot on the brake a little bit. So thank you.
Thank you, especially appreciate it.
I figured I'll read it again, bundle them up. James McDaniel, 1415 Zebby Road, East, Claymont side of Zebby Road. I've been retired 7 years from a refinery, not the one that had the leak. There's a thing called root cause. We don't know. We have other tanks in the township. If they're being checked, what went wrong here? A 1/4 inch hole is a lot of gas. If that thing were lit off, where's the emergency management guy tonight? Where's he at? He's being paid. Shouldn't he have a report tonight? Where's he at? You're paying this guy. Maybe he can't be here, I don't know, but you're still paying him. There should have been some kind of report. And what's the plan going forward with the other tanks that are in the township? Can anybody check records when they were checked? Or are they making the rounds?
I'm taking,
1/4 inch hole was a lot.
yeah, I think that's something we can follow up on.
I'll tell you the little bit that, that Matt and I got in our conversations with them. And that's that, they check these tanks, I can't remember bi-weekly or monthly or something like that. But the gas levels are in and out so much that you don't see the decrease, right?
I understand that, but there is an age on tanks.
Yeah, and the other thing that we found out is that nobody knows why there was a 1/4 inch hole. The 1/4 inch doesn't match up with anything that they do to that tank. They don't think it was foul play, but they can't figure out why there would have been a 1/4 inch drilled anywhere.
Right. But this is stuff, you're the township lawyer. I think the emergent management guy should have an input on this. And like I say, I bundled them up tonight. I really don't like standing up here. But it's easy material. Real easy material. The Delaware County tax bill, my wife and I. Township tax bill, my wife and I bought the house. We were 22 years old, still live there. Delaware County taxes went up more than last year, 19%. It was still higher than last year, the amount. Is township, I'm confused after the last meeting. Is township have a deficit?
Yes.
And how much? Because it's been like a yo-yo.
Right. There's a budgeted deficit, which let's say last year was 1.2 million after everything was approved. But once the numbers came in, that the actual end of year deficit was about 450,000. So that's a combination of economization or not making purchases you plan to make or whatever. This year, I don't have Mr. Bars, I don't know if you know it. I don't know what the projected deficit is for this year. I think it's a shade under $1 million or maybe around $1 million.
Yeah, that's a pretty, I don't know if it's accurate enough, but that's a large sum of money. Okay. Like I said, this is easy material coming to this meeting. October, American 250-year celebration. Location to be determined. Okay. I've never been a history buff, but since you're going to have a centennial celebration, anybody know why the American colonies broke away from Britain? It was about taxes. Here we are, Delaware County tax increase. Buffalo Township's running $1 million in the hole, and we're having a celebration. And you requested $10,000 for this party. If anything, you should be going away. The July 4th, which never really mattered to me, because when I was working at the refinery, that was 16 hours of double time and 8 hours holiday pay. I could care less what the holiday was for, except Memorial Day, that's totally different. But 4th of July, that's nothing holiday to me. That was a money day. But the primary reason for the dispute was over taxation. Somebody's got to make up that $1 million deficit. Bethel Township residents, Delaware County keeps going up and up and up. The school situation, that's another issue. And I don't know enough about that one. I looked up on Google. What do you call a township with money problems? Number 1, shanty town. Number 2 is a slum, an informal settlement. Why would anybody want to buy a house in Bethel with $1 million money problem when there's other townships in the Garden Valley area that don't have money problems? It don't make sense. These people on Pile Road, I wouldn't buy a house up there. You're in Bethel Township. You're buying in a neighborhood anywhere in Bethel Township where the township just running $1 million in a hole. Why would people want to buy here? I bought my house when I was 22. My wife said it's the only house she ever knew, the only home she ever knew. So we really don't want to move, and I'm not going to move because she don't want to. But if our house floated, I would pull up the anchor and sail to another township that did not have $1 million problem. Just like the Boston Tea Party, it's about taxes. You're still spending money. The tax problem hasn't went away. And why would we celebrate the centennial when that was all about being overtaxed? It don't make sense to me. I'm not going to go. I don't care if it's free. I'm not going. To me, it's a waste of money because we're being overtaxed. And like I say, if I was a contractor building a house in Bethel, I'd start worrying if I can sell it. Because who would want to buy in a township running in a hole like that? Concord don't have a problem. Chester Heights. I don't know about Chad's Ford, if that's considered in Garden Valley. I guess it is. They don't have money problem. I don't understand it. And now we got a gas leak. Can you imagine if that gas leak over there were lit off? Philadelphia blew up over a gas leak. That's all. Well, I can say, these gotta be paid. But I don't know.
I believe was there other comments? Please. Hold on a second.
Hi.
Hi.
I just had some questions, but let me say that I'm a descendant of Revolutionary War soldiers and Civil War, so I hope we have, something nice. I'm just gonna, sorry, Jimmy, but very proud of my heritage. Anyway, my questions were the 2 jobs that you're advertising, this was gonna come, I was gonna ask it, being an accountant, what are we paying those 2 new positions?
Right. So the two positions that are currently posted, one is a kind of an administrative assistant role within the township office, with, I think, a little bit of a slant towards communications. And then the other role is for a public works director.
Mhm. And what's the salaries going to be for those roughly? I mean, you know,
Well, the budgeted amount,
I was going to ask that. So.
the budget amount for the public works director, I believe, is around $85,000. I believe the office role, Dr. Addison, is around $45,000. So that's the budget, right?
Mhm.
And so I'm not an HR person to know what the salary range would be, but I think it's, you know, there's holding a budget number, and then there's discussions that the folks have. They're doing interviews to try to attract the talent.
Mhm. I mean, do you think the public works one, do you think that'll be a lot more money than the 85?
I honestly, I don't know. I think when we were in the budgeting period,
I don't want to start putting out what we might pay someone in a public
understand.
meeting.
It's a little iffy, but
Yeah.
I'm concerned. To read the description, it sounds like it's a pricier type of a position. And I know there'll be, you'll have benefits on top of that. So, and I understand we don't want to say, if someone's willing to do it for 85.
Our budgeted salary numbers were based off of averages for municipalities in the area for similar type of positions.
Mhm. Okay, I just worried about it because it just sounds like a lot of money. I don't think our population is growing. I just don't know why we need these two new positions. We just hired another person like last month or whatever. So I'm concerned. I mean, other people are concerned about the budget and everything. And, we'd like to see there to be some control because who knows, with the economy, what things will be like. And it just seems like it just seems like we're spending a lot already. It's just early February and we're already, hiring three more people for, a township that seemed like it was well run already. Why do we need more people to pay? So it's just my comment. And I know you really can't talk about salaries and stuff, but I'm concerned, and I'm sure a lot of people are concerned about it. And I'm going to ask again, can we maybe not, be as gung ho to spend this money as maybe we want to be, and to try to save us some money. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Erica Brignac, 1440 Namens Creek Road. I just wanted to say that I was really surprised when I got my tax bill, that there was a printed newsletter and a printed event calendar. And I wanted to praise the board for including that into the tax bill this month, because I know from coming to these meetings that there were a lot of people that were sort of upset that things were only advertised on the website and social media. So I wanted to say thank you for that step forward by including that in the tax bill. And I believe also I am kind of a history buff, so I believe that the colonies had the Tea Party and were mad at England because they were being taxed without representation. They had no vote. So in Delaware County, we voted for our leaders. We all have a right to vote if we are US citizens, and therefore we were then taxed. Thank you.
So I did want to,
Please.
I did want to clarify something from Smith. Thank you. The person that we approved to hire and pay for last month is, I believe, was like a temporary part-time version. That one of these positions is like the full-time version of that. So it's not, we wouldn't have both of those people.
And I did want to comment on on the mailing piece, because it's a tough one, right? Because there's a cost to put something in the mailer. But we did have multiple meetings where some folks are getting their information from the township on the website. Some folks are coming to the meeting in person. Some folks are reading it in the newspaper. But if you're not doing any of those things, it's really difficult to know. And I think we probably all talked to some of our neighbors who've like never been to the corn boil. They didn't even know we had it. So this was an attempt to just try to bring greater awareness to the meetings that we have. And all the other, the recycling events and everything else. Any other comments from the public? Okay, with that, I'd make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye.